Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to talk about something fascinating, the line between really smart marketing and doing the right thing. Social responsibility. It's this constant tug of war for basically every company out there. So let's dive in and see how they figure it out.
And really, it all boils down to this one big question, right? Do companies actually have to choose between making a ton of money and, well, being good? Is it always one or the other, a zero-sum game? This is the core tension we're going to unpack today.
So yeah, that tension, it leads us right into what you could call the marketer's dilemma. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea from a textbook. No way. This is a real, everyday challenge for people making huge decisions inside companies of all sizes, from tiny startups to massive corporations.
Okay, so you can really see the two sides of this coin here. On one side, you've got individual freedom. That's basically the company's right to do its thing, to compete, to innovate, to chase success. But on the other side, you have collective responsibility. This is the idea that, hey, you're part of a society and you have an obligation to it. It's this constant push and pull.
And this dilemma, this push and pull, has created two totally different ways of thinking about what a business is even for. You can almost picture them as two opposing teams in this big ethical tug of war. So, is it all about profit, or is it all about the people? Let's meet the teams.
All right, so in one corner, you have shareholder theory. This is the classic old-school view. It's super straightforward. A company's only real job is to make as much money as possible for its owners, the shareholders. That's it. But in the other corner, you have the more modern stakeholder theory. And this one says, whoa, hold on. A business is responsible to way more people than just its owners.
And the biggest voice for that shareholder theory? That would be the economist Milton Friedman. His argument is just so simple and, you got to admit, powerful. He basically said the one and only social responsibility of a business is to make money, period. Anything else is just a distraction from its main purpose.
So, who are these stakeholders we're talking about? Well, it's a much bigger group than you might think. We're not just talking about the owners or investors. We're talking about employees, the people who actually work there. We're talking about customers, suppliers, even the community where the company operates. Basically, it's anyone and everyone affected by what the company does. It's a way broader perspective on who a company answers to.
Okay, so you have these two totally opposite ideas. How on earth does a marketer or a CEO actually decide what to do when they're stuck in some ethical gray zone? How do you navigate that? Well, the good news is they don't have to just guess. There are actually some established frameworks, kind of like a toolkit, to help guide these tough calls.
And this is basically the toolkit right here. There are three main ways to think through an ethical problem. First up, you've got teleology. This one is all about the outcome. It asks, okay, which choice will lead to the greatest good for the most people? Then there's deontology. This one isn't about the outcome. It's about rules and duties. It asks, what are my obligations here? What's the right thing to do based on the rules? And last, we have virtue ethics, which is all about character. It asks a different question entirely. What would a good, virtuous person do in this situation?
So what happens when these frameworks get tossed out the window? What happens when the drive for profit just completely steamrolls any sense of responsibility? Well, that's when marketers can fall into some really common and pretty nasty traps.
A perfect example of this is something called greenwashing. You've probably seen this. It's when a company pumps a bunch of money into advertising how eco-friendly and green they are, but they don't actually spend much money on, being less harmful to the environment. They're basically trying to cash in on all of us who want to do the right thing without doing the hard work themselves.
And then there's just plain old misleading advertising. I mean, think about when you see a sign that says freshly baked in-store. You get this mental image of a baker in a white hat pulling a steaming loaf of bread out of a brick oven, right? But a lot of the time, it just means they took a frozen, pre-made thing and heated it up in the back. I mean, is it technically true? Maybe. But it's definitely designed to give you a false impression. And that's where you're crossing a serious ethical line.
So, to try and avoid these traps and maybe even solve that big dilemma we started with, a lot of businesses today are trying a whole new approach. They're adopting a completely different way of keeping score, one that isn't just about dollars and cents.
And that brings us to this big idea: corporate social responsibility, or CSR for short. Now, this isn't just about a company writing a check to charity once a year. It's way deeper than that. It's a business model where thinking about society and the environment is baked right into the company's core strategy. It's basically putting that stakeholder theory we talked about into action.
And the whole point of this is to completely redefine what success even means for a business.
So instead of just looking at that one single bottom line, the financial one, this new model has three. The big question is no longer just how much profit did we make?
And here it is, the new scorecard. It's called the triple bottom line. Success is now measured in three key areas. First, people. Are we treating everyone well? Are our operations socially responsible? Second, planet. What's our impact on the environment? Are we sustainable? And third, profit. Yep, profit is still there. Are we financially healthy? The idea is that for a company to have real, lasting success, it has to be winning on all three of these fronts.
Which, of course, leaves us with one last big, juicy question to chew on. Is this whole triple bottom line thing, this focus on people, planet, and profit, a real fundamental shift in how business is done? Or is it just a smarter, more sophisticated kind of marketing? A new way to look good and get us, the modern consumers, on their side? It's something to really think about as we see how companies try to walk this tightrope in the future.